you are obsessed with morality.
Yeah.
You remember saying that?
I do.
And what is morality?
It's the behaviors that we engage in with other people. And those behaviors either help those other people or are neutral or hurt other people. So moral behaviors are positive social behaviors. So caring, loving, generosity, charity.
Do we get our morality from oxytocin, or do we get it from God?
That's a great question. So I'm open to the notion that God implanted in our brains a particular set of structures that motivate us to behave in moral ways, but imperfectly. So the research I've done suggests that we are innately moral creatures, we're innately good creatures, but we are always risking falling into this state of sin, if you will.
Are you a Christian?
I am.
You're a Christian?
Yes.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I want to restate this question because I'm black and I'm a little slow here, so. Do we get our morality from God or from oxytocin?
It could be both, and it could be neither. No, you hate that answer, right? But
where do you get yours from, oxytocin or God?
I don't know. Oxytocin is working unconsciously in my brain, and so what I've tried to do is create, through my research and my own life, practices where I can induce other people's brain to make oxytocin, and I can create a little bit more love in the world. Why am I doing that? I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. I think it's certainly following the path that Jesus would take, so I'm happy to say, you know, Jesus is a wonderful guide for me. But at the same time, I don't want to say that people who are not able to do that should be shunned or should be punished, or I think they should be helped. And I think the difficult people around us deserve our compassion and our love, and to try to help them to live healthier, happier lives.
I've often said that black Americans, not all, but most are suffering due to the destruction of the family and the lack of moral character. And so as a result of watching your TED Talk, and you mentioned oxytocin and morality in the same talk, is it possible that black people are not getting enough or any oxytocin instead of having a bad relationship with God?
That's a very deep question. I hesitate to answer it because I have not studied, even though we've studied around the world and we see that almost everybody makes oxytocin and it motivates them to care for others. I feel like I don't want to categorize any particular group.
Have you, go ahead.
So I'll give you an example. When I was in Papua New Guinea, which are dark-skinned, you know, they're African descent. Papua New Guinea is like the Stone Age. I mean, people with really long jaws and no, no running water, no electricity. Even this is in the rainforest. And these individuals, they will kill women and children when they have disputes with nearby villages. 50 years ago, they were cannibals. There's very little protein in Papua New Guinea. And yet, they accepted me into their village. They opened their houses to me. The men showed me their sacred huts and rituals. I wasn't a threat to them, but they treated me like a brother. And I thought, and by the way, there's no running water, and you have to eat, and like they want to shake your hand and hold your hand, and they're very touchy. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to put Purell on my hands to eat, and there's no bathrooms, and who knows? I mean, there's no bathrooms. Who knows what your hands are doing? I'm just being honest.
That's right.
After about 2 hours, I thought, what a bad person I am. They're opening their houses to me. I need to be part of their culture. I can't force them to be into my world. I'm in their world. And I really just relaxed into this beautiful setting in which they work an hour a day. They spend a lot of time socializing. They enjoy themselves immensely. It became one of the amazing experiences, peak experiences of my life, because I was accepted, because I was treated almost like a brother. So they're black. So I think almost everybody has the ability to be a moral person, to be a happy person, to be integrated in a community. Does that come from God? Does it come from oxytocin? I'm happy to say it's both.
Even though you don't want to say right now, the problem with black folks, though, is that the reason they're the way they are and that they're so violent and so immoral, it may be due to the lack of oxytocin.
Maybe.
can I find some oxytocin somewhere to give them? Do you make it in the lab?
Yeah, it's a prescription.
Can I buy some?
It's a prescription drug.
Will you donate some so I can give it to them? I need help.
Again, I think it's intervening in the earliest stages. If families of any race are unstable, it's having a minister, it's having an uncle, it's having a neighbor who steps up and plays the role for the missing parent, who can be a stabilizing force.
I was under the impression that the brain, the purpose of the brain is to cause the physical body to function. And it sounds like the oxytocin stuff is there to awaken the sexual nature between men and women, because it does do that when you embrace or come together like that. But it seems as though our life is controlled by, and you talked about good and evil, it seems as though our life is either controlled by evil or good, which is a spiritual thing, whereas the minds control the physical body. Do you agree with that?
I'm okay with that. I think I want to keep my scientist hat on and say I have a good understanding of what happens to human beings from a brain perspective, but I don't know what happens in a spiritual perspective.
You do not?
We have looked. I should say, Jesse, we've tried this. We've run experiments, literally in churches, taken blood before and after. People have a church service. We studied rituals of many kinds. We've studied every religious faith you can think of. And what we find is that when we have these ritual activities, whether they're religious or non-religious, people release oxytocin, they feel connected to their group. We don't find that oxytocin makes people feel more connected to God. It doesn't seem to.
It does not?
It doesn't. So,
but to a human being, but not to God?
Yeah, so wherever that feeling of connection to God comes from, it doesn't seem to be driven by oxytocin.
Right.
So maybe there is another spiritual realm in which that happens. I'm okay with that because I can't measure it, so I can't rule it in or out.
I see.
So I think it's an article of faith.